States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So welcome to the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Thursday, September 12th. Start with item number 3, appointment. Board of Library Trustees, John P. Capasso, unaffiliated, 333 Penfield Road, term 7/1/2024 to 6/30/2030, replacing Christopher A. Rogers, whose term has expired, and we thank Christopher for his work on that commission. May I have a motion? Seconded. Is John here? John, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Well,
you can go up there because I'm not sure how the cameras are positioned. Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I'm honored to serve. The reason I applied for the position is I like to give back to the community. I really enjoy living in Fairfield. Been here for 7 years, which is the second go around. I want to give back to the community, and I think the library is a great resource. And to me, a library is really a reflection of the town and how it feels about educating its people and keeping them informed and spreading the truth. So I welcome the appointment. And I think I have the experience to help out in the library. I previously served as the library clerk for where I live. Finance and
Yeah, I want to thank you. I looked at your resume. I think you're going to be able to contribute in some very good ways. Thank you. Any comments?
Thank you for serving, and apologies to the board and the public for being late.
30 seconds, please.
Hit everybody driving kids around.
Thank you, John.
I would just also thank John for stepping up to serve on the board, and I also like to extend appreciation to Chris for his long service on the Library Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you so much, John. Welcome to the Board of Library Trustees. Item number 4, Police Chief, to hear, consider, and act on approving a State of Connecticut grant agreement for SLFRF between the Town of Fairfield and the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thanks for having me. So that is a grant in relation to our OFF task force. The task force is an invaluable asset to us, giving us access to increased personnel, resources, surveillance, and information. This year so far, our participation in the task force resulted in 33 firearm recoveries, 39 firearm arrests, 96 stolen vehicle recoveries, 29 stolen vehicle arrests, and a total of 100 felony arrests. We respectfully request approval to renew our agreement and receive the allocated reimbursements under the federal grant.
Any questions or comments?
Sounds like it's just service to our community and support.
Brenda?
I would just say that I'm gonna abstain. I absolutely would appreciate it, but it's to me it's an administrative thing that shouldn't be before the board, so I will abstain.
This is a grant, but thank you.
It's an agreement, right?
We need to approve.
Right. So, any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. B, Police Chief again, to hear, consider, and act on approving a private duty assistance compact in the town of Trumbull Police Department and the town of Fairfield Police Department. May I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Private duty assistance compact with Trumbull PD allows the Fairfield Police Department and Trumbull Police Department to share personnel to cover outside jobs in either town. We have a similar compact with Easton PD, which has worked out well and is mutually beneficial, so we are happy to enter into the same agreement with Trumbull PD. And we respectfully request approval to enter into said agreement.
This is a standard agreement, and so any comments from the board, questions?
Easton's the only other municipality, and how long have we had that arrangement with them?
I wanna say not long after we contracted with off-duty management, so probably going back about a year and a half tops.
No problems just in terms of short-staffed here, they're using our officers.
Any questions or comments, Brandon?
No.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye. Abstentions?
Okay, thank you.
Item C, 4C, to hear, consider, and act on approving a software agreement between the town of Fairfield and Inforce Technology, Inc. of Woburn, Mass. for Force 911 responder licenses to assist with first responder response times for an initial contract period of 3 12-month terms. The approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Chief.
Inforce 911 is a state-of-the-art platform that facilitates two-way emergency alerts and communication between Fairfield Public Schools and the Fairfield Police Department. We respectfully request to enter into a contract with Inforce 911 for the police department portion of the service.
Any comments or questions?
Will the Fairfield Public Schools have?
The public schools, they'll
Go before the Board of Education? I'm gonna trust, but given the security aspect of this, I don't wanna ask too many questions. I'm going to trust as our police department and our school district, if they feel like this is needed, then I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Selectwoman Kupchak? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Jeff.
Thank
So I just love saying this, WPCF Superintendent. Item number 5, to hear, consider, and act on approving an agreement between Flowtech Inc. and the town of Fairfield Water Pollution Control Authority for maintenance of the variable frequency drives at the Fairfield Water Pollution Control Facility for a 1-year term commencing on July 1st, 2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
John Bodie, thank you.
This service agreement will cover 28 variable frequency drives that we have at the plant and the pump stations. These are various sized electrical components that run our pumps at variable frequencies. So we save on electricity, we save on wear and tear. So the pumps can go from full speed, not down to bottom speed, but Flowtech put these in the upgrade in 2001. They've been servicing these since then. With this agreement, we get a technician for 2 days to do predictive and preventative maintenance. And we get a 10% discount on any parts that are needed. We have a very good relationship with them. They respond quickly and we need them to respond.
I just have one question because we're doing this with other contracts. Did we mean to put in this approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions? Is that something that should be here?
I think it should be there, yeah.
Okay.
Make a friendly amendment to include that language.
Seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So You don't need to read it.
This approval includes the authorization to enter into renew. I'll make an amendment to the main motion to, we already voted, but the language is this approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions.
Right. Any other comments from the board? Questions?
Excuse me, thank you, yeah, this is, the total price is $2,985.
Correct. For the year, yep.
Per year, right.
Yep.
So this is under the normal amount we typically used to, or it was usually brought before the board. So I'm gonna abstain from this item.
Okay, and I would, one of the items we're going to be talking about is charter revision, and the reason this is on here, it's a 12-month contract, and anything over 3 months would be, by charter, it's required to come before you, even though it hadn't always been done that way. But any other comments? Or?
No, you've been happy with them. I don't see a reason. I don't see a reason to change. Maintenance is important, and if a problem is identified, quick response time is equally important, and a discount is always nice on parts. So happy to move forward on this one.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board to approve the motion as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Bodie. Item number 6, Conservation Director. Whereas the town of Fairfield has applied for and received a grant for financial assistance under the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program, or OSWA, established and administered by the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, or DEEP, pursuant to Section 7-131D of the Connecticut General Statutes, resolved that William A. Gerber, First Selectman of the town of Fairfield, is hereby authorized to accept said grant and execute an open space and watershed land acquisition grant agreement, a conservation and public recreation easement and agreement, and any and all other documents required for the grant by and between the town of Fairfield and DEEP for property known as 760 Oldfield Road, Fairfield, OSWA number 562, and the Conservation Department is further authorized to manage said land as open space land pursuant to Section 7-131D of the Connecticut General Statutes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bishop.
Thank you. Members of the board, public. I'll just give you a quick one on this. This parcel is 3.59 acres. It's on the north side of Oldfield Road as you are driving towards South Pine Creek. I picked this up when I got here in 21. This project, I'll call it, had started in 2019 under my predecessor that this grant was awarded and never finalized. So I carried it over the finish line in the last couple of years, difficulties being some encroachments from neighboring parcels. And with this, it's before you today just as a formality that town attorney and I have resolved those issues. I went back and forth with the state DEP on kind of lot lines with surveyors, and we have it here now, and once resolved and signed by the town and the attorney general, the DEEP commissioner, then the town, the state is still holding our award money, so we'll receive $80,000. So it's just formality, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thanks for getting this done. Appreciate it. Any questions or comments from the board?
This is, thank you, Tim, this is the 80,000 we're getting for the land. I do recall it, I'm a little fuzzy about it. It was a while back.
Sure. I recall it was the town fronted the money to purchase the property.
Right.
It's all tidal wetland, so it's not buildable. It's
Right.
also the location of bird observation blind that we paired with the Tucker Fund on.
Right, that's right. So they're giving us the 80 that we fronted.
Correct.
Thank you.
No, just appreciate wrapping this
Yeah,
up
wrap
so
it
we can get the funding for it.
Thanks to you and Phil. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
I'll abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Item passes. Number 7, Human and Social Services Director. Here, consider and act upon approving an agreement between the Alliance for Community Empowerment, Inc. and Fairfield Social Services concerning the use of personal information and the provision of assistance to Connecticut residents applying for assistance under the Community Empowerment for Connecticut Energy Assistance Program. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Hi, Julie.
How's it going? So this is the contract, we sign the MOU each year. It allows us to be a site to process the Connecticut Energy Assistance Program applications. Typically we do 130 and 190 applications a year, and the range of benefit is between 150 to 530 last year, and that number might change. It allows residents to come to us for the to do the applications and have them processed rather than go through Alliance or go online, which means if they're struggling with online applications, we'll just help them submit.
Yes. Any comments or questions from the board?
I just want to acknowledge the good work that Julie and her team do helping people out, because so many of our low-income seniors really do have trouble figuring out how to fill out these forms because they are complicated, and they really do need this assistance. And so I just want to thank you, Julie. I mean, obviously, I think this is an administrative issue, and I don't think we should be voting on it. But thank you for all the hard work you guys do, helping our seniors and our low-income residents.
How are our residents, is there communication, this is available to them?
It's in our newsletter, it's in the social services newsletter. Clients who have seen this before know to come to us, but we'll put once the MOU is signed, we can put it in hopefully the next Selectmen update to have it so it's not.
And what is the time frame for people applying? Can they do it at any time, or is there a certain time of year?
It's now, and then there's a pause within the springtime. It's the oil is not delivered till November, so they can start their applications now, or it is not delivered until November. So they have between now and like end of October, so the money runs out.
And this is just for in-person applicants, right? This support, or can you do it over the phone if somebody calls as well?
We need them to sign the application, but we can help them with that. We do some home visits. We're going to some of the senior housing sites to help with that.
Just wanted to learn a little bit more and just put it out in the public for those who may not have heard about this program. So we'll be supporting it, and thank you for Ms. Kupchak. Thanks for all the work that you do.
Do you know the total amount? Is there like a total pot that's been communicated to you that of what's available in a year?
No, that's a great question. I don't know. It's a grant that the state receives for energy assistance.
Yeah.
You might remember last year they went back and were able to increase that sum. I
Right.
don't know what the number is this year. I can tell you kind of what we did over the last few years. So far this year, like the winter months, we did $10,430 last year. Total was $60,000. So that was when there was the benefit.
Right.
It's 7,000. So
Right.
it's until it runs out. I don't know. I could try to find out, but
I'm just curious how that works. Like if it's a particularly cold winter and you have more applicants, does that mean at some point during the winter we might get notice that there's no more money left in it, and then
that could happen.
yeah, and it has happened. Okay, all right. Any comments from the public? None, back to the board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Abstentions?
Okay.
Item number, motion passes, thank you. Item number 8, purchasing authority. Adam is online. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed agreement with StormSource LLC of Scottsdale, Arizona, to provide an annual subscription for DaySmart appointments vaccination scheduling software for the DaySmart order number FPHN-2024 for the 12-month term commencing on or about September 1st, 2024, for an annual subscription fee of $999 per year. This approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions. May I have a motion?
Second.
Dr. Jaranko.
Yes, hi. So this has kind of been a joint effort between Health Department and purchasing. So this is just a system that we can use for our flu vaccinations, our COVID vaccinations, and some of our childhood vaccinations. This is not for our big walk-in clinics, but for anyone that would like to schedule appointments during business hours, or we're gonna have some extended hours. So residents can schedule their own appointments, or they can call us and we can schedule it for them as well. And we have spoken with IT, because there were a few different softwares we were looking into, and Dave Kelly kind of went over everything with our public health nurse, Julie McCullough, and he said this would integrate well into our website and the systems that we use.
Any comments or questions from the board?
And once if approved, how quickly would it be up and running in terms of?
I believe pretty soon, yeah, so we're hoping to get it.
For this-
We're gonna start having extended hours October 1st, and so we'd like to get it up and running before then, because those appointments, those hours are by appointment only, so we'd like to get it up and running by then. So yeah, so this coming season.
Any other?
$999 subscription, digital subscription fee, basically.
Yep.
Yep. Hi, Santana.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Any other questions or comments from the board? None. Public, any comments from the public? None. Back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 10, Community and Economic Development Director, Mark Barnhart is here.
We have
Can I ask
number 9.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of this entire long thing.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, sorry. We have number 9. Number 9.
Okay.
I skipped
Okay,
the
when we get to
purchasing
10,
director.
I'm gonna ask for that.
Yes, please.
Number 9, Purchasing Director. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the Purchasing Director to enter into the proposed agreement with Southport Contracting of Bridgeport, Connecticut, to provide all labor, equipment, and all else necessary for the burner replacement project at Fairfield Ward High School for Town of Fairfield bid number 2025-06 and the Southport Contracting proposal dated August 22nd, 2024 for a total base contract amount of $99,000 with authority to enter into necessary additional change orders in an amount not to exceed 10% of the original contract value. Funding for this project is available on account 228-09010-5700-024 B4 FF Ward HS Boiler Replace -20 year. May I have a motion? Angeles.
Mr. Tooling start and then I can answer questions.
Oh, Adam, would you like to start?
Sure thing. Hi, this is Adam Toolin, Purchasing Director. I'll just say, from a bidding perspective, we got a great response to this. We got 5 bids. 3 of them were pretty close to each other. So that's always nice to see. That's usually a good sign of tight specifications when you get a few bids that are all nicely packed with each other. Southport Contracting was the lowest apparent bidder. A scope review was completed with them and everyone felt comfortable moving ahead. We have a fair amount of history with them. They're known and trusted group, so I feel comfortable making this award. Angeles could speak to more specifics if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any comments?
Just really about the funding. So this came before the Board of Ed 2 years ago, and I think the approval was in the fall of 2022. And it was originally for $25,000 in seed money, so we could get a firmer idea of what the project would entail. And just correct, I just want to put this on the record because it's a little bit different than the way approvals usually go. The project then went before the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance approved the full project amount. And it's on the waterfall for $340,000, so correct?
That is correct. The waterfall number was a schematic design of what it would cost to do this type of work at that time, and the number was put into the waterfall and adjusted during COVID. The numbers were quite a bit higher at that time.
And I mean, I haven't caught up with Board of Ed. I know that they voted on the waterfall on Tuesday. Was this number changed at all in the waterfall, being that this bid is coming in significantly less? Does it?
It was the funding for that was originally in 22, as you had mentioned.
I thought that when it was approved, though, it was approved in 23-24, but in terms of cash flow, it was going to be cash flow for 23-24.
So 23-24 is off of.
It's off of it.
It's off of the waterfall, so it doesn't appear on the waterfall that the Board of Education approved.
Okay.
Carry it forwards because it wasn't approved by the other town bodies. And my understanding was, when asking questions, that by the Board of Education approving the seed money at the time, they also approved the project to move forwards, and then it was the other town bodies that chose to fully fund the project at that time.
Front. Okay. And you're comfortable just seeing that this was a low bid compared to what was originally expected, the 340, and some of the other bids were more in line with the larger amount. I'm thrilled that it's coming in, but I just want to make sure that
We are comfortable with Southport. They just completed the Burr boiler replacement project, and they are currently undergoing the Sherman boiler replacement project. So we have history with the company. They've met our expectations, and currently they're running ahead of schedule for the Sherman project. So
Yeah, it's just, even though 3 bids were tightly or relatively tightly packed together, the other 2 bids always, this always leaves scratching your head.
And that's why we did a thorough scope review with the company to make sure that there was nothing that they left out or were unfamiliar with.
I'm seeing this all the time now, and I'm not surprised, because some people, it appears they're very busy, they've got other priorities, and they'll just throw a number in maybe. So that if you're desperate enough to take it, then fine, then they'll drop they'll reprioritize.
Absolutely, we see it all the time now with bids. This is one of the reasons that we always come to the boards, like our roof projects. We try to get them done as early in the fall as possible and get them out to bid, because as you said, once we go into past the new year, these roofing companies have already bid out their summers, and they're just throwing numbers out there to try to get additional work, but they don't care if they get it or not, because they already have their summers booked. So that's why we always push roof projects.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. For roof projects. I have no
not specific to this, but I think just in terms of maybe a discussion moving forward for capital planning, the school district should find themselves in this position again of asking for seed money to get a better idea of what the project cost would be, what the procedure would be, because the Board of Education didn't go back to the Board of Education after the original 25,000 was approved. And I do wonder if it might have changed anything, knowing once you got a better idea of what the scope would be. But maybe not, because you didn't necessarily know until you went out to bid. So that can be a conversation for offline. Just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page moving forward. We're looking to get seed money for these projects. And just wanted to be clear.
follow to that, just so you're aware, the Board of Ed did approve the waterfall, as you said, on Tuesday night. One of the things that the waterfall has is that we removed the seed money from the year before the projects at this point. Unless they are large multi-year projects. So the understanding with that is we're gonna work as that year approaches to get better numbers before we get the funding available. Instead of having seed money, and then having the project, we want the project to kind of be in total on the waterfall. It gives all the town bodies a more better look at what's coming and what the costs are gonna be.
Thank you for that. Just want to make sure, and I appreciate you sharing that, just so everybody understands the procedure, because it's kind of come back. What is it? Schematic, it is construction design, where are we in the process? Discussion of getting the seed money first and coming back at a later date for approval. Well, I guess we can continue this, the capital planning workshop, once it's before us. Big time, yep.
Brenda?
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought you were raising your hand, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, I was just.
Yeah. Any comments from the public? None, back to the board, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Papageorge.
Thank you. Item
See you,
10.
Angela.
Take care. Item number 10, Community and Economic Development Director, I believe we had a motion
The
to
way
waive the reading.
I mean, the item.
Do we have a second?
I mean, these are all on the agenda, obviously, and anyone can read them. And then we're gonna talk about them. It's just kind of a waste of time to read the whole thing.
I'm not gonna, I mean, this should be read in my opinion.
I think that this is an important resolution, I'm sorry, I mean, I think it's an important, I think that it speaks, it's an important resolution, and I think that even though it is on the agenda, I think that just reading it aloud into the record, people that may not have access to it, would be, if you're up for it, Mr.
I'm up for it because it is, I like this one. We don't have a second, I'm sorry, Brenda, but municipal homelessness prevention resolution, whereas Connecticut's municipalities routinely encounter and provide services to the thousands of households who experience homelessness each year, whereas data shows that homelessness affects people in every municipality in Connecticut and that incidences of homeless are on the rise, whereas supporting people experiencing homelessness can ultimately result in significant municipal cost savings and expenditures on police, fire, emergency medical services, and more, whereas research is clear that the effective strategy for solving homelessness is the housing first approach, in which households are reconnected quickly to stable housing through stable housing through a combination of supportive services and financial or rental assistance tailored to their levels of need. Whereas Connecticut has made significant progress in reducing homelessness through the statewide application of the Housing First approach, made manifest in its coordinated access network system that identifies people in housing crisis, assesses needs, and tailors evidence-based interventions to households. Whereas Connecticut has been making strides to make all homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring for all, whereas municipal leadership, coordination, and resources are vital to achieving an end to homelessness, whereas Fairfield and all municipalities take pride in their responsibility to protect and enhance the health, welfare, and safety of its residents in efficient and cost-effective ways, whereas the town of Fairfield, through its Office of Community and Economic Development, Human and Social Services Department, and the local nonprofit organization, Operation Hope, have provided assistance, resources, programs, and services to eliminate hunger and homelessness and to help residents of the community who are experiencing difficulty providing the basic necessities of life for themselves and their families, whereas the Connecticut Conference on Municipalities, or CCM, the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness, or CCEH, Sustainable Connecticut, and other partners are calling on municipalities to take action to prevent and end homelessness across the state of Connecticut. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfield Board of Selectmen do hereby commit to continuing to work to prevent and end homelessness in the town of Fairfield, to coordinate our efforts with our regional coordinated access network, to share lessons learned with other municipalities in my state, and to encourage all municipal officials and staff to support this effort. We further resolve to work through our social services department and Operation Hope to increase public awareness and support for efforts to end homelessness, strengthen municipal workforce capacity to address homelessness, collect and share homelessness data, coordinate municipal services to address homelessness, provide or mobilize resources to address homelessness, and improve outcomes for people experiencing homelessness, including steps to decriminalize homelessness and connect with systems. So, thank you. Mr. Barnhart.
Motion.
So is this funny?
Are you adopting this?
Yeah, we're adopting this, right? So I have a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barnhart.
Thank you, for the record, Mark Barnhart, Director of Community Economic Development. This is a critical issue, so I do appreciate the board's indulgence. I'm also joined by Services Director. Kind of a backstory to this. This came to light as we were preparing our application for the Sustainable CT application, working with the Sustainable. Part of the application involves documenting efforts that the community has undertaken to address homelessness. We thought this was apropos to bring this issue to the board's attention, to again raise awareness of increased incidents of homelessness, not just in Fairfield, but throughout the state. Making great strides, but in the last few years, especially post-pandemic, in housing, stable housing, we've seen incidents of homelessness increase. So, and these are all efforts that we are undertaking now, working through Operation Hope, the Social Service Department, Access Network. Doing these things, obviously we need to do more to address these critical issues, these necessities of life. For your support.
Thank you for all your work on the Affordable Housing Commission, on the Fair Rent Commission, on this, working with Carla Miklos, Operation Hope.
I think I drew the short straw in terms of addressing the board, but
Thank you.
it's a critical issue. So
Carla Miklos is here from Operation Hope and all you do.
You wanna speak?
Yeah, would you like to speak?
No, no, no.
I could.
Yeah, why don't you say a few words? That would be, why don't both, Julie, do you want to say a few words?
I'm gonna hog the spot.
100% support.
Okay.
And Carla, I don't mean to put you on the spot there, but I really
You're here.
you're here and so appreciative of your work, and being the part of this is just for public awareness. Wanted to give you a chance to just share anything if you so choose.
For the record, I'm Carla Miklos, Executive Director of Operation Hope, and Operation Hope has been serving this town for 40 years now. We started out as a response to visible homelessness in the early 1980s, which in some ways was very similar to what's happening today. It was, we were coming out of the Great Recession. A lot of people weren't working at capacity. A lot of businesses were closed. There also was the movement to deinstitutionalize mental hospitals, which caused a lot of people to come back into the communities with a plan that has been proven to not have really taken care of them properly. And then the act of being homeless was criminalized in New York City. So people were moving down the Metro North and I-95 corridors and looking for a shelter in communities like ours. So that sort of gave birth to this epidemic of homelessness that we haven't yet recovered from, although we've made great strides. However, as Mark mentioned, COVID set us back. So our organization does everything from homeless outreach to serving lunch and dinner to anyone who's hungry in the community, to providing food pantry, which we look at as a form of homeless prevention, because if people are struggling in the community in their own homes and they're not making ends meet, we can help them sort of reallocate whatever their housing budget is for other bills like their rent or medicine or whatever, and we can provide the food. We have 84 units of affordable supportive housing in Shelton, Bridgeport, and Fairfield. 50% of the housing is in Fairfield. People who take that housing, all of those people have experienced homelessness before and are able to pay 30% of their income for rent, and the balance is subsidized. That's one of the best ways to end homelessness, which is to provide affordable housing combined with case management. All of our clients have a case manager assigned to them to help them with any of the issues that brought them to this crisis, to help them stay away from recidivism and visiting a crisis again, and then to help them grow, develop skills, set goals, meet those goals, and just thrive in the community. So we're very fortunate to be able to operate in this community. We appreciate the support that we get. We couldn't do it without the friends and neighbors who support us. And this bill ties together sustainability in so many different ways because it really supports sustainable CT's efforts as well as our, collective effort across the state to end homelessness. So, grateful for the opportunity.
We're very thankful as a community for all that Operation Hope does and for all you do, Julie, services. And I think everybody knows about your food pantry, and not everybody may know that you house so many people in the town of Fairfield, and that's a big part of your mission. And there might be people in your houses that are neighbors, and people aren't even really necessarily aware that
One thing different about Operation Hope than maybe organizations in bigger cities is that we would never hang a shingle and say this is Operation Hope Housing or in any way try to market that somebody is one of our clients. They're a resident of this community just like anybody else. Their kids go to school with their kids, and they're working next to me probably, and you don't even know it. Any questions for me?
I would just like to say, that Carla has done an amazing job. I've known Carl a long time. He is over 20 years, or just hitting your 20-year mark, and has transformed Operation Hope from what Jackie Jarrell started so many years ago, because she cared deeply about this issue. And really, Carla, you have just done so much to transform that agency in a way that I don't think anybody could have ever foreseen. And the work that you did alone during COVID, along with Julie, out there serving people in the parking lot, making sure people had food, not letting the barrier of COVID get in the way, and allowing people to be able to stop and pick up food, because as you said, people were really struggling during COVID, and you guys were right there. You didn't skip a beat, and Julie was right there too at CERT, and you've just done really amazing work and have expanded this idea that Jackie Durrell started into something that is so incredibly huge and helpful. And I don't know where people would be without it. So thank you.
And I do have to say, I'm been blessed for the last 10 years to have a partner like Julie. And a partner like Mark for the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for putting this on the agenda, bringing this before us. Thank you to all the volunteers and residents who support your efforts. I think many people don't necessarily realize that many in Fairfield are struggling. I think we saw it from a school perspective with just the free meals and how many families really relied on that, and you wouldn't necessarily think that it's a bigger problem as it is here in town. So I appreciate the work that you do and the grace that you provide to families.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? None. Back to the board. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for speaking. I will entertain a motion to waive the reading of the next one. By
I'll
Carla.
make a motion. I'll second this one.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Mark,
This matter came before the board in executive session initially to settle enforcement action with an entity here in town that operated a four-family rental unit. We have reached a resolution. The property has since been sold. We've recovered funds as a result of that enforcement action. At the time, I had addressed the board in session, the intent was to redistribute those funds that were recovered to their rightful owners, the tenants who had overpaid the rent for a period of time, which was the basis of the enforcement action. So this simply codifies that, or attempts to codify that, asks for authorization from the board to distribute the funds that have been recovered to the individual tenants as named in the resolution, as well as for legal expenses to reimburse the town for its cost of service and collection. And the additional penalty amount, thought that would be appropriate in recommending that it go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for additional housing opportunities. So,
any questions?
No questions, but I just want to thank Mark for resolving this so quickly. It seems like we just talked about this, so appreciate expediency in getting these tenants the money they overpaid.
Selectwoman Kupchak, any comments or questions?
No, just thank you, Mark, for all your hard work.
Going to the public, any comments? None, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you, Mark.
thank you very much.
Item number 12, Purchasing Director, South Pine Creek Outfall Replacement Project. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed agreement with Terry Contracting and Materials, Inc. of Bridgeport, Connecticut, to provide all labor, material, equipment, and all else necessary for the South Pine Creek Outfall Replacement Project for Town of Fairfield bid number 2024-85 and the Terry Contracting proposal dated July 24th, 2024 for a total base contract amount of $3,188,065 with authority to enter into necessary additional change orders in an amount not to exceed 10% of the original contract value. Funding for this project will be available pending RTM approval on 9/23/2024 in account 26009010-57000 FY 223 Tidegate System Project 20-year or 20Y. Hope to all of them. Now I guess we'll do one at a time. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Who will be speaking to this, Adam?
Yes, this is Adam Toolin. I'm here, and I'm hopeful I have someone from engineering as well.
Yes, you have Mega.
So, yeah, just to get started, I'll say broadly, we've got all three items here. They're interrelated. I'll only speak to the first one now, but I just wanted to mention that we're trying. There's a timing issue here, so that's why these are before you today. I believe the Board of Finance approved the funding last week, and now we're waiting for, the Board of Finance
approved the ARPA. They approved the.
Regardless of where we're at with the Board of Finance, the final step is RTM needs to approve on the 23rd. And there's a real timing issue here where we needed to get this contract basically pre-approved from you guys so that as soon as the funding is approved by the RTM, we can sign the contracts. So while I'm asking for your authorization to enter this agreement tonight, we're not going to do anything with it until the RTM has approved the funding. So
we've approved the funding. we've approved the funding, we've approved, the Board of Finances has approved the funding. Today we're approving the contracts and the RTM still needs to approve the funding.
Correct.
Any questions, from the board?
No, we just went over this.
We just went over this last, it feels like last week.
Like.
And at the Board of Finance. All set, Selectwoman Kupchak.
No, I'm familiar with this, absolutely, this is
yeah.
a good project.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Mega?
It's a good project, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Curious.
Excellent. Okay, any comments from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. So the next two are on the same topic. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed agreement with Race Coastal Engineering of Stratford, Connecticut, to provide construction, administration services, and all else necessary for the South Pine Creek Outfall Replacement Project for Town of Fairfield RFP number 2018-67, and the Race proposal dated August 19th, 2024, for an initial base contract amount of $184,740. Funding for this project will be available pending RTM approval on 9/23/2024 in account 26009010-57000-FY223 Tidegate System Project -20Y. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Would you like the second? I'll second it. Any additional?
The computer automatically mutes you after a certain amount of time, I apologize.
Oh, no problem. So Adam, do you have anything to add to this? Because we, again, talked about this not long ago.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to this, just to comment that you mentioned RFP 2018-67. So this is tied to a competitive procurement process from several years ago that was awarded to Race. We're just bringing this contract before you because aside from how long it's been, it's a new agreement document with terms and conditions, but it is from a procurement standpoint acceptable and tied to that RFP from 2018.
Thank you for that clarification. Any comments? Any questions or comments? No, seeing none. Good. Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this motion passes. C, to hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed agreement with Davison Environmental of Chester, Connecticut, to provide species protection plan services and all else necessary for the South Pine Creek Outfall Replacement Project per the Davison Environmental proposal dated August 19th, 2024, for an initial base contract amount of $6,000. Funding for this project will be available pending RTM approval on 9/23/2024 in account 26009010-57000-FY223 Tidegate System Project -20Y. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Anything to add, Adam?
Just again to state for the record, this satisfies the purchasing. The purchasing policy has been satisfied here. It's a professional service, under $25,000. So just looking for your authorization to sign the agreement.
Fantastic. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, to the public. Seeing no comments, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So off to the RTM and then get to work, hopefully. Item number 13, Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen hereby establishes a charter revision commission for the town of Fairfield pursuant to the following resolution. Whereas the charter of the town of Fairfield was adopted in 1947 and last amended on November 27th, 2006. And whereas our charter is the foundation that guides principles for governance, it defines our community, its powers and functions, its essential procedures of our town government. And whereas pursuant to the provisions of CGS 7-187 et seek, the Board of Selectmen of the town is the appointing authority for a charter revision commission, and acting by a 2/3 vote of its entire membership may initiate a charter revision. And whereas the town would benefit from a review of the charter by a charter revision commission. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the provisions of CGS 7-187 through 7-194, specifically 7-188B, the Board of Selectmen hereby initiates an action to amend the current charter by authorizing the creation of a charter revision commission, and be it further resolved that said commission shall be constituted for the purpose of undertaking a review of the current charter. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I would just, is it okay if I go before Christine?
Yes, go ahead, Selectwoman.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would just hope that, that it's fair and balanced when choosing the candidates, and that, that we seek out candidates who actually have experience using the charter, because I think that's extraordinarily helpful. It's a very difficult thing to kind of get up to speed if you're not familiar with it or how it works. And that I hope that the town utilizes a professional to help guide and assist the commission.
May I ask you a question, Selectwoman Kupchak?
Sure.
We've been getting applications. You would have received those individually, but would you like a summary or like a packet of the commission applicants? Or do you have, if you have them already?
Well, they come, so, I mean, it's very different the way now that it works with the new website. So we get like sometimes 2 and 3 or 4 emails about the same thing instead of just one. I'm not sure why that is, but it gets a little clunky. And so I actually, that would be wonderful. Maybe it would be helpful for you as well, Christine, to, just have a summary of everybody in one email.
Or we can scan all of them into one PDF, maybe.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Any comments?
No, we talked about, wanting to do this and needing to do it. Just, I know it's been in the newsletter, just for anyone listening who might be interested in serving. You can apply through the website. When is the time? Do you have any idea of timing when you're looking to get this commission staffed and up and running and all of that?
Yeah, the next meeting, we have to do that with Phil Pierce here, so we're not going to do it at the next meeting. So it would be the meeting after that we should vote on it. We have a restriction; it has to be within 30 days, I believe. So, and the other, sorry. Any other?
I missed that part, Bill. What did you just say? What has to 30 days?
Well, we would need to constitute the commission, within 30 days, I believe. I believe that's the law, but we can't do it the next meeting because Phil Pierce will not be here. So we're thinking the meeting after that. So we have some time to review the applications.
And I would encourage actually, maybe even sending out a specific email blast and also posting on the town's social, because I don't know that we're getting a lot of people who are familiar with the charter or even ever served in elected office. And so I think it would really be beneficial to have that sort of background, because it's like anything else. If you're not using something, it takes a long time to get up to speed. I mean, listen, the former commission did a really great job. I mean, we worked so hard, but again, those were people who were elected officials or had real experience because they were on a committee that spent years digging into all our town operations, our charter, all that stuff. So maybe just another like, hey, you know, anybody out there, maybe something to our elected officials to say, would you be interested?
Yeah, we could do
in
that.
serving?
There's certain,
You know who
I
would be
believe-
really, really great on that charter commission? Judy Ewing. She is the charter master. I mean, no one knows the charter better than Judy Ewing. I mean, that woman is so knowledgeable, and I would, maybe you should call her, Bill, because she would be a
I
real
just saw her
asset.
the other day.
She'd be a huge asset for the commission, because she's so well versed, but she'd be a huge asset for the process.
One thing I'd like to point out for the public's sake, so I've spent a lot of time reviewing the charter that came out of the last process and the current charter that we're using, and some other, charters. But even though I believe that the revised charter that did not pass would be the right way to start for the commission, that a lot of good work was put into that. We can't really, once the charter's formed, the commission's formed, we can't really tell them what to do, but we can certainly hopefully guide them. And I would say it would be wise if they were to start with that charter, and if there was anything that they didn't like, they could add it back. But I think that would be a good way to save a lot of time. And I know there's a list of additional things that I've already put out there that I think should be addressed. So I haven't been shy when I had to defend putting the money back into the budget. I made a list of things that I would like to see in there, but definitely, in my opinion, the best place to start is what came out of the last process.
I would agree with that. I think that some of those items would have passed if they were broken out individually on the ballot. So I would encourage the next commission to start there, because as everyone has said, a lot of great work was done and residents did put in a lot of time, and wouldn't want those efforts to go to waste. With that said, appreciate that it's not going to be our decision once we form this commission.
Right.
The residents that are serving, they will be guiding the process. Is one question about number of people that are serving?
I mean,
Do we have to decide that now?
no, I don't think so. So
I think there's some formula to it. Phil should know.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you had on the one that you formed, I believe it was 7. 7's a pretty good number, right? So,
yeah, there's some formula. I can't remember now, a long time ago, but is it like a minimum amount to a maximum amount?
Right.
I think less people obviously is less talking and,
Yeah, and last time, I mean, there are people. Last time there was a ton of work done in the front end. There was some very big issues that were really tough issues that were like in changing the form of in a big way, changing the form of government. And there were many meetings, but it becomes a real burden, and some people can't always show up. So it's like a balance between making sure you have a quorum or making sure you have enough people actually, run the meeting, but and not having too many people. So I don't know. Offhand, I think 7 sounds right. Yeah. There was one person who kind of dropped out, never showed up, but still, they were able to get a quorum at most meetings, or all meetings, I believe. Okay. Any comments from the public? None. Back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, fantastic. Item number 14, refunds, tax collector to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $12,833.99. May I have a motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions from the board? From the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Just very quickly, because I think your time's limited, right, Brenda?
Yeah, well, I have about another 20 minutes.
Okay. 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony yesterday. Every year, it's a beautiful ceremony, and you know, yesterday in particular was very difficult. It was a day sort of like today, very similar to 9/11. 2001, but it was really beautiful ceremony. I just want to thank our you know, police and fire for doing such a wonderful job in bringing us together and allowing us to concentrate on something that's really, really important and that we should do really forever, every year. Rooster
I
River.
agree. I
Yeah.
want to say that I apologize for, it's the first one I've missed in over 15 years, so I apologize. I'm sorry that I had to miss it, but it's always a very nice remembrance for our community.
Yeah.
Agree. We missed you. Thank police and fire just for putting it on every year and also for their continued service and sacrifice to our community. It's nice to be together. Unfortunate for the reason why, but it's beautiful. As you said, very moving, and felt the sense of community.
And for those who don't know, they visit the firehouse and see the memorial in front, which has a piece of towers there in front. So I think not everyone knows that that's there.
There's also a memorial at Oak Lawn,
And
which is also a very
It's very beautiful there.
very
yes.
beautiful spot to reflect.
Rooster River status, going to be sending something out today with the status on that, but there's as with government, there's good news, but you've got to caveat everything. So our engineering department did finally got comments back from the Army Corps of Engineers last week, or actually last week. But those comments were only on the Tungus Hill component of the project. The Fairchild Wheeler component, we may have actually gotten them today. If not, we're expecting them from the Army Corps early next week. The Army Corps has promised, or maybe that's too strong a word, but they've indicated to our engineering department that together with our outside consultants, SLR, if we can get responses to the comments, good responses to the comments by the end of September, that they expect to get us approvals in November. That then would allow us to go out to bid in December. And there was some communication that there's always this chance, and engineering thinks it's a very, very slight chance that the department, that Connecticut Deep might require some sort of environmental review related to the wetlands. And I think that was communicated to some people, and it may have gotten blown out of proportion because of the communication that, yeah, and if that happens, it could be another year. But having talked it through, I believe the feeling is that's a very low probability, and that's the kind of caveat that you kind of would put on anything, just so that, you know, you kind of hedge your bets a little bit, but we're not expecting that to happen, from what I understand.
Could I ask, so I mean, Deep has been involved in the project from the beginning. I mean, they slowed us up quite a bit over at Tungus Hill about the location of the well, the word is not coming to my mind right now. The catchment, the detention. Yeah, detention ponds. And so, you know, there was a whole back and forth about that, but I thought that was already cleared up. I mean, it's not as Deep hasn't been involved. I mean, I know they're very difficult as everything, and government can be very difficult, stressful, but I thought we were okay there. Is this to do with
I don't,
Fairchild Wheeler, or is this Owen Fish? Like, what?
no, it's not Owen Fish. This is Tunx's Hill and Fairchild Wheeler. And the way it was described to me is they reserve the right that, you know, when the whole thing comes together, the proposal is then sent, and they reserve the right to then ask for more environmental work, but that would be extremely unusual. So it's not a great answer, but it is the way it's the wheels.
I would just recommend that, you know, once the thing is all packaged and ready, I would, you know, give a heads up. I mean, call the governor's office, you know, call people and just, you know, make them aware that this has been going on for really long. And, you know, look what happened in Oxford and, you know, Newtown and Seymour. I mean, it just takes one event and then boom, you know, everybody is just destroyed. So I mean, it's so frustrating, so incredibly frustrating.
It is, yeah. But that's really where we are at this point, and
great.
And things are starting to you can see hopefully a light at the end of the tunnel. Want to talk about anything else on that? Okay.
No, thank you for the update.
15 Umpqua Road. So 15 Umpqua Road, for people that don't know, that's where Las Vegas Lounge is. It's between Umpqua and the property on the other side goes to Sanford Street. And there was a proposal, I don't know, I forget when it went in to TPZ, but it was rejected for 63 purely residential units under 8-30G. And there were two I guess rejections. One was from TPC, the other was not so much a rejection, but a stipulation related to WPCA that this project could cause the flow to be over 80%, and 80% is sort of the standard that you do not want to go above. And so they rejected it as well. And their stipulation was that the developer would have to build a larger pipe from Sanford down to Reef Road to install a larger pipe. This was, the rejection went to the Superior Court, which came back with a ruling saying, basically overturning the rejection. And so both TPZ and WPCA have decided to appeal this. I guess the process is you don't just appeal it, you petition to appeal. So the attorney working on this, who's Jim Baldwin, is in the process of putting together a petition to appeal. And if that is accepted, either one, then you would go through an appeals process.
I mean, I just would say that, you know, we tried desperately to work with this person while I was there to modify that development. And, you know, again, we are once again dealing with 8-30G. That is a problem and will continue to be a problem because it's the tail wagging the dog. We could develop 500 new units and then, you know, because there's so many market rate units that are attached to them, it explodes our population. We never get there. It really, really, really is a gift to developers, and it just needs to be changed on the state level. And honestly, I don't see that ever happening. I spent 9 years on the housing committee. I made the first and only change. It took literally years. Incredible amount of work. And that even sunsetted. It's just so frustrating. I just, sorry to vent. I just can't say.
No, I mean, on the upside, we are really ready to, very soon we'll be ready to, we'll reach our moratorium, already made inroads into the next moratorium. So, you know, we'll be in good position to be able to dictate terms.
Well, I agree. You know, all the projects that were approved over the years, once they actually get built, yes, you hit your moratorium. But then that number, because those are all 8-30G projects, right? So you get this much affordable, and then you have this much market, which then increases your overall population of market rate, and then you keep chasing. So, yeah, we'll get a moratorium for a little while from everything that's happened over the last several years. But it'll just keep coming back. The law needs to be changed, and frankly, I feel like all the Fairfield County, mayors and first selectmen should be really banging down the door of the governor about this, because our sewer systems cannot handle this. Our traffic, our roads, our infrastructure, we just cannot handle this. And the lawsuits, it's just frustrating.
The last thing I wanted to, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done. Sorry, I'm done whining about it. Sorry.
That's
Very aggravating.
long-standing
I
frustration.
mean, I understand the aggravation, but I think as we heard that about homelessness and affordable housing being the gateway for so many families just to a lifetime of success, that a lot of work needs to be done in this arena. Now, this project originally wasn't 830G, wasn't it mixed use? Wasn't that one of the changes as well, that it was originally going to be
Well, I think,
a mixed use, and then the project changed?
It was big.
Yeah.
It was
And
big.
it didn't necessarily
yeah.
move forward.
So the original project, and I went back and studied it way back to, I don't know, 2019, the end of 2019, 2020, was four floors, 36 residential units, retail on the first floor, some commercial on the second floor, office space. And I think, I'm not going to speculate why that changed, but there was some disagreements about the process, I guess, and the developer changed it to an 8-30G. And I'm just hoping that we can sit down with him and figure out something that's better for the town, and keep that hope alive.
Appreciate that.
Just for the public's edification, Christine, I completely agree with you. The town has done a lot before me and during me to address actual affordable housing like Habitat for Humanity. But to be very clear, the affordable units in an 8-30G are not affordable. They're 80% of the medium area income of Fairfield County, which is very high. And people who live in Carla's units, and most people who are hardworking and scraping by, cannot afford 80% of the medium area income. And what happens is those low income units that they call low income just sit empty, because they sell or rent out the market rate ones. And you have to have a certain income to make it, but you don't have 80% of the medium area income, because that's a high number. So the whole system really, I know this so well because I served on the housing committee in Hartford for so long. It is not helping increase true, actual affordable housing. It just isn't. The Habitat deal we made, that is. More Habitat stuff, that really does address and help people in a genuine and real way. The 8-30G projects do not.
It was really just trying to get clarification for this particular project.
Sure.
And appreciate that you're going to try to reach out to come for some sort of agreement. Totally support petitioning this appeal.
Well, that's not within our purview.
And I know it's not.
That's
I know that
WPCA, so.
on WPCA. So
Oh, you are, that's right.
so
So yeah.
just putting it out there in terms of supporting those boards and their efforts.
Yeah.
And hopefully there will be a resolution, because I absolutely hear you about the affordable piece, just in terms of young working people wanting to find housing that's accessible to them. I see the benefit of it being close to trains and close to public transit, but the scale needs to be right. We can't be taxing our infrastructure. And we need to protect our, existing businesses in our downtown. So looking forward to the work being done to get us to that point. And I'll stop talking because I know Ms. Kupchak has to go.
No,
Yeah.
you're fine, you can talk.
Okay, and then the last thing I just wanna really, I was really happy with the way that move-in day was handled by our police and also Parks and Rec Department and Fire. So police had a system, and also thankful to Peter Collins from the Seagrape for allowing parents to park in his parking lot. We got a lot of positive feedback that it was a very smooth move-in day. Someone said that we get the police get a AA plus, for that. So really thankful for the work that they did, and also the Fairfield security came down and helped as well. That night, the typical party that they call it the whiteout party. Everyone wears white. It's like the last party of the year, and so we've learned now about the damage that can happen to the environment with the trash that comes from these parties, especially on that night. It was low tide at 5 o'clock, so had they been partying on the beach at low tide, it would have been hard to keep the trash out of the sound. What we did was a little different. We fenced off Lantern Point, which is sort of the epicenter for the party. And so that gave the private security G-Force at Lantern Point and the surrounding, some of the surrounding homes outside of Lantern Point, the ability to control entry from the backside of the parking lot. And our police were also manning the beach side and the street. And there was no partying at Lantern Point or on the beach really at all. People would wander down. If there was any trash, it was left very little. It would have been left when people meandered down and then left to go back up to the street. What it did do was push. We had a lot of police officers on duty that night. They were incredibly, very, very effective. Kind and firm and fair, and they did their job really, really well. And I was there for a few hours, just admiring the way that they managed the situation. It did push the party up to the road, and so there was a lot of noise up on the road. And ultimately, the underclassmen who are under 21 really had nowhere to go because the upperclassmen wanted to go to the Seagrape. They got in line to go to the Seagrape. The underclassmen went back to campus. All in all, my view is that this was a real success because there were no trips to the hospital. So when we talk about, public safety and the health of the kids, usually for that party a year ago, there were several trips to the hospital. There were none this year. There was really no trash, very little trash on the beach. And as far as I know, no trash that went out into the sound. There was trash on Beach Road from the kids that came up. There were a lot of trash cans out on Beach Road. The town put up additional trash cans, and the residents of Fairfield Beach Residents Association, they sort of asked each other to put trash cans out at the end of their driveways. So, but when it was up on Beach Road, at least it wasn't drifting out to the sound. And the next day, by the next day, it was cleaned up. So I felt it was really a win. And however, I would say that hopefully there will be alternatives developed collaboratively for the underclassmen because they expect a college experience and there's nowhere for them to go on campus and they can't go into the Seagrape. So, some entrepreneurial person, maybe it would be illicit brewing, maybe it would be the FTC. They should be throwing, throwing parties for these kids, even if they can't drink. But the other thing is, I think we're all very aware that SantaCon is a different beast altogether. It brings people from outside of the town. So while these kids are invested in the town of Fairfield and you can talk to them, when you've got multiple of those kids, coming from places where they don't feel any real consequences for trashing the town, we know that that's a problem, and we're going to be starting to plan for that very soon. So any questions or?
Thank you. I would just say, our police always do an amazing job, and they are called upon throughout the town all the time. But boy, I used to tell the Fairfield Beach residents that, a considerable amount of resources are going to that area of town. And they're always very professional and do a great job. The SantaCon, I noticed, I'm sorry I missed the meeting, the last meeting. But I was going through the backup and I noticed, and I just saw an article about the town hiring a law firm in preparation for SantaCon, and I really didn't understand it. I don't know what the conversation was.
That actually was
with the board, but I mean, when I was there, listen, like you just said, Bill, these people, I mean, this is a national thing that goes on for some reason. Young kids put something on social media and they say, go here, and everybody just goes, and they get on trains and they take Ubers, and they just descend. And it happens in states all across our country. And so I don't know what you do. I know that when we had to deal with it and we got caught off guard as well, I mean, these kids just get dumped. They're just there. And it's no one's fault, really. Even the kids who rent there, they can't control it. All these people come on their property and they're like, whoa, what's going on? So it's a strange situation. I don't know how other states handle it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what would be the law firm. I don't know how you could, if somebody wrote on social media, the first selectman's having a big party at town hall, everybody show up, and all these people show up, but you didn't ask them to come there. I mean, you're like, whoa.
Don't put any ideas in my head. Put any ideas.
I'm just saying, so I don't know who you hold accountable is what I'm trying to say here, because
let me be perfectly clear, Brenda. If I threw a party at town hall, nobody would show up. But the law firm, I that was mischaracterized in the press. It's not linked to SantaCon directly. I have wanted to know what the legal liability of the town is for these parties, and I can't find anyone to ask, because they're all conflicted out. So they're either, they all, many of the firms are already doing work for one of the parties that are involved. And so I couldn't get any advice on what our legal liability is from a reputable firm. Cohen and Wolf is conflicted out. So what I wanted to do was get a legal review of what the town's responsibilities and liability is. It's not SantaCon per se. It's all of these goings on at the beach, and also I kind of really want to know what our liability is to DEEP and Department of Environmental Protection, all of these things, and what if something happened, I think on the property, but off the property, even right over the property line. So I think I need to know that as a risk, just for risk management, and I have not been able to get it. And now we, went out to 5 different firms who came back and said they were conflicted. So Now we have a firm that wasn't.
I think it's very tricky. I mean, this is a situation that's been going on for many, many years, obviously. You know, Clam Jam was a disaster back in the day, 30 years or whatever ago. And it obviously has changed and the university, but there's always, I mean, we spent so much time dealing with this. I mean, we literally put together the Living at the Beach guide. I mean, we wrote it with the university because of so many new people who moved into Fairfield during the pandemic and weren't familiar with what goes on down there. But it's just it's a tough situation because there's so much angst, and there's a lot of people rent their properties out. Kids are rightfully living there, and people get, I guess, agitated because they don't want young people living next to them. It's a sticky situation, and I think I don't know how liable the town is for people who just show up in your town and have parties or drive speed on your roads or have public drunkenness. That could happen anywhere by anybody. So I'm just not sure how you get a handle on a pop-up event that happens, and even the kids events. I mean, most of them are held on private property, and the university does. I've worked with them. I worked with them for 4 years. I mean, they've tried very hard to work with the kids, with the Fairfield residents. We had so many stakeholder meetings, lots and lots of meetings. So I mean, I'm not really sure, but the legal thing. I don't know if it was mischaracterized exactly in the paper because the backup said that because I hadn't looked at it before the meeting, but I have a chance to look at it after about what the town can do regarding SantaCon, and I'm not sure what we can do when these events happen, like when those street takeovers, when the kids or adults, sometimes they're adults, drive those mini bikes or ATVs, they just swarm our downtown like out of the blue. It happened quite a bit when I was there, and people used to get very, very upset about it. It's a tough situation, and it's happening across the state. Other towns have to deal with these street takeovers, and it's kind of like that's what SantaCon is. It's like a takeover. It's kids coming from New York and who knows where they're coming from, and they're kind of just invading our town. So I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what they come up with. I think the board would be interested in learning.
Well, you will certainly. I mean, yeah. So I'm interested too, and you'll definitely know what they conclude. Yeah, I feel much better now having signed that agreement, because like I said, I haven't had any luck with any of the other. It's like. When a big company goes out and works a little bit with a lot of different law firms, so that when it comes to when one of their potential counterparties is going out to try to find a lawyer, they're all conflicted, and in this case, that's what I was finding. But I finally found a good firm that's not, and I just want a review of what it is that we can do and what we should be most worried about.
And Brenda, there was not a lot of discussion between the two of us at the last meeting. I really viewed it as the first selectman being in a position where he needed a resource that he didn't have because of
it's a legal contract that it won't cost us anything unless we use them, but I do intend to.
It was just providing an okay that if he needed this advice, that he had a resource to go to protect the town and to protect our residents, to protect our students that live here.
No, I understand. I just, you have to be cautious, because again, this has been an ongoing issue for really a long time. And I would imagine if there was something that could have been like that, I mean, there's private properties that are rented out by people. People are allowed to have events at their houses. I'm allowed to have a party at my house. Bill, you are, Christine, you are. You know, and the people walking on the street, people just showing up in your town, doing things you don't want, and that's what the police are for. Unfortunately, they get stuck with all the you know, they always get blamed when the street takeovers happen. They get blamed when a bunch of kids show up and want to have a party, and so, or litter, they get blamed for all of it. So I'm not really sure what we're going to be able to do, but I'd be interested in hearing, because I can't imagine that over 40 years no one's figured out some making
I mean,
someone
you
liable
may-
for just people showing up in your town.
Yeah, you may be right. Okay, well, I have nothing further. Anyone else have anything they want to talk about?
No, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm actually gotta go.
Okay, well then, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank
see you
you. Have a
soon.
good night, everyone.
Good
You
night.
too.